Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachar Yunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvikacharya Terasada Shishimada's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Chapter 44, which is the killing of Kamsa, and this is verse number 13. Punya bhatta rajabhuvo yad ayam nirlinga. Punya bhatta rajabhuvo yad ayam nirlingam. Gudha purana purusho vana chitra malya. Gudha purana Gapalayan sahabala vanayam shavenam. Vikrityan chatti giritra ramachar chitangri. Punya bhatta rajabhuvo yadayam nirlinga. Gudha purana purusho vana chitramalya. Gapalayan sahala balavanayam chavenum. Vikritdayan chati giritra ramar chitangri. Punya Bata Rajabhuvo Yarayam Nirlinga Guda Purana Purusho Vana Chitramalya Gapalayan Sahabala Vanayam Shavanam Vikritayan Chativiritra Ramarchatangri Punya Bata Rajabhuvo Yadayam Nirlinga Guda Purana Purushovana Chitramalya Kamalayan Yavanayam Shavanam Vikritayan Chatigiritra Rarachartangri Punya Bata Rajabhuvo Yaranayam Gapalayan Sahabala Vanayam Shavanam Ritvik Chanti Giriti Rani Punya Bata Rajabhuvo Yadayam Nirlinga Guda Purana Purushovana Chitramalya Gapalayam Sahabala Banayam Shavanam Vikritayan Chatigiritra Ranam Chatangri Punya pious Bata indeed Rajabhuva the various regions of the land of Braj various regions of the land of Braj Yat in which I am this near human linga by characteristics Gudaha disguised Purana Purushaha the primeval personality of Godhead Vana composed of flowers and other items of the forest Chitra of wonderful variety Malayaha whose garlands Ga the cows Palayan herding Saha together Balaha Lord Balaram Vanayan vibrating Cha and Venum his flute Vikritaya with various pastimes Anchati he moves about Giritra by Lord Shiva Rama and the goddess of fortune Archita, worshipped. Angrihi, his feet. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. How pious are the tracks of the land of in Braj, for there the primeval personality of Godhead, disguising himself with human traits, wanders about, enacting his many pastimes. Adorned with wonderfully variegated forest garlands, he whose feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and Goddess Rama vibrates his flute as he tends the cows in the company of Balaram. And yesterday, Mother Irmela was speaking about meditation, and so this is what we meditate on. Not the void, we meditate on this. Please repeat. How pious are the tracts of land in Braj. For there, the primeval personality of Godhead, disguising himself with human traits, wanders about, enacting his many pastimes. Adorned with wonderfully variegated forest garlands, he whose feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and Goddess Rama vibrates his flute as he tends the cows in the company of Balaram. And purport. In this verse, the devoted ladies in the audience point out the difference between Mathura and Vrindavan. They want to indicate that in Vrindavan, Krishna simply enjoys with his girlfriends and boyfriends, whereas here in Mathura, the Lord is subjected to harassment by the bullying tactics of professional wrestlers. Thus, the ladies are condemning the city of Mathura because of their pain at seeing Krishna in what they consider an unfair wrestling match. Of course, Mathura is also one of the Lord's eternal abodes, but here the women in the assembly express their love in a critical mood. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananganan Shalakaya Chakshu Unmitangena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminitanamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Paschadeshani Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Two acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami, write quite long tikas to this, and I will get to those. This is the beginning of several verses, and some of them are actually part of the Brahma Rasayan, which are the most nectar verses that Sanatana Goswami has picked out and included at the end of his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Actually, the next two verses. This one didn't quite make it, but it could make it. Because these verses are the deep understanding of who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in his inconceivable greatness. Inconceivable. And it's so inconceivable that actually if we look at a section from the Srimad Bhagavatam earlier in the 10th canto, we find Lord Brahma is speaking about how inconceivable he is, his qualities actually are. And I'm quoting this from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 21, verse 9. This is this is the chapter called The Sweetness and Opulence of Krishna. And here Lord Brahma speaks two verses. First one is verse number 10, 14, 21. And then the second one is another verse from the 14th chapter. O Supreme Great One, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, Master of all mystic power, Your pastimes are taking place continuously in these worlds, but who can estimate where, how, and when you are employing your spiritual energy and performing your pastimes? No one can understand the mystery of these activities. No one except those who live in Brudge. They can understand the mysteries by not understanding the mysteries. Because, as was pointed out by Chaitanya Charan in his class, usually we have yoga meaning to link with God, with Krishna, and then Maya means to be separated from Krishna. So we have in Vrindavan Yoga Maya, in which we're linking with Krishna by not understanding Krishna. But of course, that means we have to understand Krishna. So now this next verse here we'll read. In time, great scientists may be able to count all the atoms of the universe, all the stars and planets in the sky, and all the particles of snow. But who among them can count the unlimited transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He descends on the surface of the globe for the benefit of all living entities. So Krishna comes here to benefit all of us, but who can estimate how great he is? It says the scientists can count all the stars and planets in the sky, and they actually have tried to do this. They can't come up with a number, really. With all these fancy telescopes they have orbiting in space, they've estimated, and they, of course, this is just an estimation, that there are 500 billion galaxies, each with 500 billion stars. So get that number. One scientist said, well, it's like all the grains of sand on the earth. That's the material world. How much greater Krishna is in the spiritual world. He's so great that he can be, as the verse says here, he actually takes the position where he appears to be like a human. It says here, Nirlinga. He appears to be a human. How is it that the supreme source of the entire creation, the sum and substance of everything, the ultimate being, can actually be playing with boys in a field, and they're actually, defeating him in games, or he's being chastised by his girlfriends, and he's feeling bad because, oh, Radharani is mad at me. This is God. He can do this. So these mysteries are unpacked by our great acharyas, and these are interesting tikas here. And I will stop and mention a few points along the way because they're such important commentary. In this verse, the wives of the Brahmanas who did yajna in Braj, or those associating with them, speak. This first line, very important, by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We remember from an earlier chapter of this great work of the 10th canto how Krishna and Balaram sent the cowherd boys to beg from the Vedic Brahmanas some prasadam, and they were refused. But their wives were very eager to oblige Krishna and Balaram. Now, these Brahmanas and their wives are actually Mathuravasis. But for whatever reason, that day they were in Vrindavan. So just by being in Vrindavan, the wives, at least, had become completely enamored with Krishna. The husbands not, but that's another story. But here, these wives of the Brahmanas, or those who associated with them, are speaking, being pained, being pained on seeing the unequal combat and realizing that Krishna had great power with great prema mixed with Aishvarya Gyan. They praise Braj and its inhabitants, and by that criticize Mathura and its residents. So they're not really worried because they know Krishna has great power. They have this great prema, but it's mixed with some Aishvarya. So therefore, that means they're just a little bit separated so they can actually see Krishna as God, whereas, you know, Srimati Radharani just sees him as Krishna, my boyfriend, and he's a rascal. How astonishing it is, and the word bhatta, in Braj, with his swarup as a human, the material men cannot understand him, near Linga Guda. He wanders about, engaging in various playful activities by his own desires. We in Mathura are most unfortunate because we simply persecute him like this, and these people are simply watching. This is the theme here, that, you know, King Kamsa is setting up this unfair match, and lots and lots of these folks watching aren't really devotees. It's certainly not devotees on the platform of the wives of the brahmanas, and they're watching, and they're saying, this is horrible. How can they be watching this? And they're making the point that material men cannot understand him, nirlinga gudha. So we have to have spiritual eyesight, really, to see Krishna, and to see Krishna as Krishna in a distant way with Aishvarya first, and later in Madhurya, sweetness, as we become completely enamored with him. We in Mathura are, we in Mathura are most unfortunate. Oh, I already read that. Okay. Though Braj is just a forest, it is most fortunate, for there Krishna played his flute and blissfully engaged in pastimes, and the residents of Braj looked on with bliss. How wonderful that is. He was just playing. Now, of course, he's killing demons every day, but it's not the same thing, because here he's kind of has a duty, which is to kill Kamsa, because he's left Vrindavan, and so that he's not Krishna from Vrindavan, but he's Vasudeva Krishna after he's left Vrindavan. He's not the sweet young boy who's just dancing in the forest with the gopis. Now he's Krishna on a mission, and the mission is, of course, to kill Kamsa and Pritranaya Sadhunam Vanastyastra. He's going to annihilate the demons, protect the devotees. This is what he's doing now. And so this is the whole different thing. In Vrindavan, he killed the demons like play, or like magic almost. I mean, how could he suck out the life air of Putana when he was only a few days old? And great stories like, you know, entering into the mouth of a giant snake like Aghasura and popping out the top of his head. These are fantastic stories, and none of the adults in Braj even believed them. They thought the kids were just like making them up. But at the same time, no one could understand really in Braj, but they saw all this, and it was a sort of magical, wonderful, playful thing. This isn't playful. This is like the real thing. This is, you know, wrestlers fighting Krishna, and Krishna, you know, eventually just dispatching them, only after everybody becomes disturbed that he hasn't done it. He could have done it in a second, but he played around because he wanted to. This is the implication of their words. The word anchati, wanders, is in the present tense because the women thought that Krishna had the intention of going there again. And now this is a really important sentence here. Actually, however, the words cleverly establish that the pastimes of Krishna are eternal, as established in the scriptures. So, on the surface, the understanding is these ladies thought, well, he's going back to Vrindavan. That's the surface story. And I guess everybody thought that at first anyway. Didn't happen. But the deeper significance is that this is the present. This is called the perpetual present here. That actually the words being put in the present show that Krishna's pastimes didn't happen. They're happening. And so we can't say that, in one sense, we can't say that Krishna killed Aghasura. He's always killing Aghasura, somewhere, sometime, someplace. These are eternal pastimes that go on and on and on for the pleasure of his devotee. Jiva Goswami writes, others speak, or other affectionate women, like the wives of the Brahmanas, endowed with the highest prema mixed with knowledge of his powers, praise the land of Braja because of its good qualities, while disrespecting Mathura on seeing the inequality in the assembly in 4 verses. So the next 4 verses deal with this sort of condemnation of Mathura as being a place where Krishna is being disrespected, and also a glorification of the wondrous pastimes in Vrindavan. And of course, these sorts of prayers are offered by those who have this dual vision. They have some sweetness, but they also have the Aishvarya. So this is these verses are, it's sort of like the switch over from one to this whole section here in Vrindavan is the switch from Krishna in Vrindavan to Krishna after Vrindavan. Bhatta indicates astonishment. The lands related to Braja are most fortunate, but this is not at all surprising. The plural is used, bhuvaha, to indicate that all the lands of Vraj are fortunate, whereas not even one piece of other places is fortunate. What a strong statement. All the places in Braj are fortunate, whereas every other place is not fortunate. Even in comparison, Vaikuntha is not fortunate. Because in Vaikuntha, although the devotees experience everlasting bliss with the personality of Godhead, Narayan, that bliss is limited because of Aishvarya and the sense that God is great and I'm just a very small particle. There's not that sense of fraternity or paternity or romance. So that this is really renders all these places in comparison to Vrindavan unfortunate. In those lands, Krishna, though the oldest person, ever young, and the main person, wanders about. So he's the oldest person, but he's wandering around as a child, as a youth. He's the oldest person, and actually and he has this ever fresh visage, appearance. And if we go to the Brahma Samhita, there are 2 verses in particular. One that I know that Bir Krishna Maharaj likes to quote often, Advaitam achyutam anadim anantam rupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakta govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Again, these are prayers by Brahma, and Brahma he stands back in Aishvarya watching Madhurya, but he can express this Madhurya as an inconceivable thing. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. You know, on the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo painted, and they're really amazing paintings. It's like stunning when you see them. But the picture of God touching Adam and giving him life is of an old man. I mean, he's a pretty healthy-looking old man, but he's an old man. And, well, of course he has to be an old man because he's the original he's the original person. And no one is older. But no, Krishna, why would he want to be that way? He chooses to be always young, and inconceivably, he lives in a place, the whole universe is emanating from him, but he lives in a village, herding cows, a little village. Of course, it's a little village where Nanda Baba can have 900,000 cows, which is, inconceivable. Because that little village contains everything. That little area, which we now have still here on the planet in Vrindavan, that area is the sum total of everything. and Krishna is in his most beautiful form there, so that those who are most intimately connected with him can have these very intimate, loving relationship. The next verse, Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayoratapi manaso muni pungavanam syopyasti yat prapadasim yavachintya tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands and millions of years. So they're trying really hard and they don't get very close. And the commentary here is rather striking. I'll read just a portion of it. The attainment of the lotus feet of Govinda consists in the realization of unalloyed devotion. The Kaivalya, realized non-alternative state, which is attained by the Astanga yogis by practicing trance for thousands of millions of years, and the state of merging into the non-differentiated impersonality of Godhead beyond the range of limitation, attained by the non-dualists after a similar period passed in distinguishing between the spiritual and non-spiritual and eliminating things of the limited sphere one after another by the formula not this, not that, are simply the outskirts of the lotus feet of Krishna and not the lotus feet themselves. What a lot of work to not get really what the ultimate goal is. How fortunate we are to have met a pure devotee in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, to be a Rupa Nuga. And how fortunate we are to meet a person, Srila Prabhupada, or a person who met Srila Prabhupada. And in the end, it will be persons who met other persons who met Srila Prabhupada. But a person like Srila Prabhupada who spent his time at Radha Damodar Temple, where Srila Rupa Goswami's Samadhi is located, writing the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, this is a direct connection with this Braj pastimes. So we know outside of Vrindavan, there's no true auspiciousness. Continue here. They speak in the present tense since very recently he wandered there and intended to return there. Actually, however, he's making the same point here as Vishwanath Chakravarti. Actually, however, the present tense establishes that wandering there is his eternal pastimes. Outside of Braj, Krishna is rarely attained. His feet are worshipped according to the rules of Archan by Shiva and Lakshmi in their minds, but they cannot serve him directly like the people of Braj. But now he is wandering in Mathura also. He plays in a special manner. There. In Vraja, he plays, whereas he has been sent to Mathura to fight with his enemies and is surrounded by indifferent people. Here in Mathura, he does not really play, since here his actions do not arise from his spontaneous desire to play. This is business here. This is Krishna with a mission. He's not just playing. When he kills the demons for the boys, it's to either show off or have a good time. He's having a good time, but it's different. He's got to kill Kamsa because Kamsa's a demon, and it's a different kind of killing than the demons he kills in Braj, because it's more, as they say, a business, and he's showing his Aishvarya right out front of everybody. Here in Mathura, he really doesn't play. He really does not play, since here his actions do not arise from his spontaneous desire to play. There he plays in a remarkable way because of his desire of his most cherished pastimes, since that place has favorability and dearness to him. The play in the two places cannot be compared. Krishna's activities outside of Vrindavan cannot be compared to Krishna's activities in Vrindavan. The Krishna of Vrindavan is different than the Krishna outside of Vrindavan. They're the same, of course, but it cannot be compared. The favorable aspects and excellence of Braja are then described. He has various remarkable garlands made by friends endowed with zeal for special fun from the flowers of most dear Vrindavan. The special garlands also represent his clothing and ornaments. Herding the cows, objects of the greatest affection, assists his various other pastimes, and bewilders the universe when he calls out sweetly to his cows. Imagine this, that the Supreme Lord is a cowherd boy who knows the name of millions of cows and calls them one after another. It's inconceivable, and it's so sweet and simple at the same time that that person conditioned by material nature, even though they're pious, it seems, how could this be? But it is by Krishna's sweet will. He has this desire, and he's fulfilling this desire, and he's inviting us to join him in the fulfillment of his desires of loving pastimes. He is assisted by Balaram in herding the cows. His cherished pastimes are nourished by the pastimes of Balaram. What else can be said? He constantly produces sweetness with his flute, which bewilders Indra, Shiva, and Brahma, and makes the trees develop goosebumps. Inconceivable pastimes. So, this is very hard for anyone to understand. How can I, who wandered into the Krishna consciousness movement, one of these four pious people, either in distress or need of money or a little curious, or I wasn't the sage, believe me. So we wandered in looking for something, like Dhruva. He was looking for something, and he found a much better thing in pure love. So we wandered here, and how do we actually make this giant leap into this understanding? This is inconceivable. It says outside of Vrindavan, it's very hard to understand Krishna. How do we do it? Well, Lord Chaitanya has made it easy for us. He's made it easy for us because within the holy names of the Lord, everything is contained there. And Prabhupada makes some very strong statements here about these holy names in some classes that he's given. And I'm going to read these points here. And this is under pure chanting, what Prabhupada says about pure chanting. In particular, there's two classes here. First class is from Hawaii. And this is in January of 1974. And Prabhupada speaks. There are 3 stages of chanting. One is chanting with offense, beginning. There are 10 kinds of offenses. We have described them many times. If we chant with offense, that is one stage. If we chant offenselessly, that is another stage. So the idea is that first there's Nam Aparad, then there's Nam Abbas. Nam Abbas, and if we chant pure, offenseless, not yet pure, you're trying to make offenseless chanting, but not yet offenseless. But when there is pure chanting, that is success. Nam Abbas and Shuddhanam. Our aim is, this was discussed. You'll find in Chaitanya Charitamrita discussion between Haridas and a Brahmana. So by chanting, we can come to the highest stage of perfection. In the beginning, there may be offenses, but if we try to avoid the offenses, then it is Nam Abbas. Nam Abbas means not actually pure name, but almost pure. Nam Abbas and Shuddhanam. When one chants Shuddhanam, name, holy name of God, then he is on the platform of loving platform with Krishna. That is a perfectional stage. If we can chant purely, It's so simple, but it's also hard to do because of our conditioning. But it is a simple process that we can actually get to the points that we're hearing here in the Bhagavatam. Hear from the Bhagavatam, know what the goal is, and then engage in the process of getting the goal. Sambandha, we know, learn what the goal is. Then we have an abhideya, which is the goal, how to practice. And how to practice it's a simple thing, but it means pure chanting, ultimately. And then we come to the goal, which is prayojana, praying prayojana. Now, this is another class. This is in Allahabad in 1971. The purification of chanting Harinam means as soon as you chant the holy name of Krishna, immediately you will see the form of Krishna. You will realize the qualities of Krishna. You will immediately remember the pastimes of Krishna. That is pure chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. That is commented by Srila Jiva Goswami, that a pure devotee who chants Hare Krishna mantra, immediately all these, nam, name, rup, form, gun, qualities, lila, pastimes, parikar, vashishta, simply by chanting name, you will feel the form of Krishna. Here is Krishna, nam, rup, guna. Here are the qualities. Oh, Krishna. Oh, Krishna is so qualified. He is so kind. He is so magnanimous. So many qualities you will remember. Nam, rup, guna, lila. Then his pastimes. Oh, Krishna instructed Arjuna. Krishna played with his cowherd boys. Krishna had very nice talks with the gopis, with his mother Yashoda. These things will be remembered. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. We remember by hearing and chanting, but it doesn't happen right away, and it's not imagination. It's real, because Krishna actually projects his Nam, Rup, Guna, Lila onto the mirror of our heart, the chitta. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. We want to cleanse the mirror of our heart through the chanting. And it's Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalonas, Devana, Sevana, Sevana, Gotcha, Anyata. There isn't any other way to do it, because practically speaking, if you try any other method, you just get to the outskirts of Krishna's abode, at best. But by the inconceivable mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the inconceivable mercy of our Guru Varga, going back to Lord Chaitanya, we have, even though I am completely unqualified, the opportunity to actually have this darshan of the Lord. So, what a jewel we have. We have to, and then we have to give it to others. Really, if we know how great this is, Prabhupada wants us to give it to others. Whether we give it to 1 million people or 1 or 2 people, change the life of somebody in this life, so that somebody goes from not understanding Krishna to understanding Krishna by our instrument, by us being an instrument in the hands of our Guru. It doesn't have to be huge. I mean, after all, in Ram Leela we had the monkeys and the bears throwing huge boulders into the ocean. But we had spiders, or in other stories, squirrels, throwing little bits in. And even though they were being derided by the larger beasts, Lord Ram said, no, those little bits are just as good as yours. Because if we all try, then we actually give Krishna consciousness, which is as Prabhupada's first temple said, the matchless gift. There's no gift like Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments? I think there might be a minute or so. There is more, but if I start, I don't have time to do it. So I'll stop. But there are some quotes also from Lord Chaitanya. Let's see if I can find them in the intervening moments here. Well, there's another verse here. This is very nice. This is another Bhakti Rasayana verse. Brahma Rasayana. Can't do it. Okay. Yogis may undergo severe austerities and penances for many births by practicing yoga, niyam, by practicing yam, niyam, asana, and pranayam, none of which are easily performed. Yet in the course of time, when these yogis attain the perfection of controlling the mind, they will still be unable to taste even a particle of the dust of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then can we describe about the great fortunes of the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi Vrindavan, with whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally lived, and who saw the Lord face to face? Vrindavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvanda Maravindanalaya Tartam Bhagavatam Shamasitam Buddhasundarakam Nandar Bhako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Andani Asta Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Vikayanti Gira Praganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Tamaham Bhajami. Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam.
Sri Rajadama Mahi Amrita. 38. 38. 38. Sri Rajadama Mahim Amrita. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinata, Madana, Mohan. Sundar Giri Govardhan Sundarada Sundar Giri Govardhan Kalindi Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahaba the Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahaba Kalindi Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahaba Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahaba Keshidata Vamsivada Dwadasa Kana Tata Vamsivada Dwadasa Kana Yahasaba Lila Hoilo Chinanda Nanda Shinanda Yasoda Jaya Jaya Gopada Daya Soda Jaya Jaya Gopada Shidamari Jaya Jaya Jenu Vatsaga Shidamari Jaya Jaya Jenu Vatsaga Jaya Brisha Banu Jaya Kirtida Sundari Jaya Purna Masi Jaya Abira Nagari Jaya Purna Masi Jaya Abira Nagari Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavana Maha Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Patu Dvijara Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Patu Dvijara Jaya Jaya Krishna Saka Patu Dvijara Jaya Rama Tata Jaya Rohini Nanda Jaya Rama Gata Jaya Rohini Nanda Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Pasi Jata Jaya Bhakti Jayana Boilo Govinda Shara